Darrell Brooks Jr. will again represent himself as he considers an appeal of his '76 court conviction in the Christmas parade homicide case. I personally felt we were done with this dude all the way back in 2032 when he was convicted, but apparently not. He wants his time again in the spotlight, so apparently there's a good chance he's going to get his time in the spotlight once again. And on Friday, the 4th of April, Brooks' current court-appointed attorney, Michael Covey, asked the court to allow him to withdraw from future proceedings, a request initiated by Brooks himself earlier this year. Under an 8th extension granted on March 4th, Brooks has until the 3rd of June to file an appeal for post-conviction relief. He carried feelings of deja vu, given that scenario which previously played out just days before Brooks' October 2022 trial, an often chaotic month-long ordeal in which he was eventually convicted on all criminal accounts, 6 first-degree intentional homicide charges tied to the deaths of the parade participants. Brooks acknowledges his rights in deciding to proceed on his own. Like he did in late September 2022, Brooks, now 43, answered questions in a conversation initiated by the County Circuit Judge Jennifer Darrell about whether he was aware of his rights and the risks of proceeding without legal representation. Furthermore, in this instance, the judge pointed to a letter which was dated February 26 for the Wisconsin Public Defender's Office that explained Brooks, who is legally indigent, would lose any rights for another court-appointed attorney if he decided to represent himself, known by the court as pro se representation. Brooks, appearing from prison using Zoom, said he understood the risks, including the difficulties he will face trying to defend himself from a prison setting that could limit or delay his access to information he needs in his appeal, but he insisted he was firm in his decision. Both his attorney and Brooks told the judge that Covey's withdrawal motion was not the result of any disagreement in strategy for a possible appeal. "I just want to represent myself," Brooks said, declining to go into detail as to reasons. Because last time he acted like a twat and he pretty much got away with it for the most part. I felt like the judge, even though she did what she could with him, she handled it quite well in my opinion, she really did. But there was times where she gave him too many chances, too many leeways, and the point where he took advantage of her. And that's what's going to happen again if he gets his appeal. I'm not saying he shouldn't get it. That's not my place to say that. But if he does, then I pretty much know how this is going to go once again. If you've seen the trial, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, it's on YouTube. Go for a look on Law and Crime or Court TV, and they'll have it on there. And during the court appearance on Friday, Covey told the judge he has spent hundreds of hours reviewing the documents and case information which he has shared with Brooks, should he choose to represent himself in an appeal. "We have gone through that process, and he has decided to proceed pro se," Covey said, adding that he has agreed to provide Brooks with copies of court procedures that he will need to follow closely. He also said he has agreed to provide additional, through limited help, with other documents he will need. He also said he has agreed to provide additional, though limited, help with other documents he will need. In her ruling, the judge, as she did back in 2022, reinstated the rights of a defendant to have an attorney or to represent themselves pro se, including in an appeal court. She ultimately granted Covey's withdrawal and Brooks' desire to represent himself. It has been presented to the court and would dissuade it. Otherwise, the judge said, "I was satisfied that Brooks is again doing so freely, voluntarily, and intelligently." That's debatable right there, intelligently. Let's not give him too much credit here. "And with an understanding of dangers and disadvantages and his rights to an appeal and to appellate counsel." Brooks was convicted of running over Tara Durand, Wilhelm Hospital, I do apologize if I got it wrong, Jane Coolidge, Leanna Owen, Virginia Solson, and Jackson Sparks in a fit of rage, resulting in their deaths during the Waukesha Christmas Parade on November 21st, 2021. Dozens more were injured, some seriously. He remains in prison at an unspecific out-of-state location, confirmed Friday by the judge to be in South Dakota, while serving six consecutive life terms plus 762 years. The non-life terms are for the dozens of 61 first-degree reckless endangerment counts, 6 hit-and-run counts involving death, and 2 bail jumping counts or felonies. He has previously mentioned his intent to appeal his conviction, but to date has filed for numerous extensions, including several through representation by Covey, who spent most of 2024 reviewing court transcripts and records in anticipation of a potential appeal. Now, personally, in my opinion, I don't have any confidence in this man, because I've seen this guy when it comes to representing himself. I've seen it, and I know what he's like in terms of his behaviour. So I think this whole proceeding is a joke. And I think he's probably going to be the same way again. If he doesn't get his own way, he's going to throw tantrums, he's going to stomp his feet like a little boy, and he's going to throw a hissy fit, basically. But that's my opinion. I could be absolutely wrong. If he does end up getting this appeal, and he does get like a new trial, then maybe, just maybe, he actually represents himself in a better way, in a more calmer manner, and a more professional manner, compared to his 2022 trial. I could be lying to myself right now by thinking that's a possibility, but, you know, stranger things have happened. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode. If you are familiar with the Darrell Brooks case or trial, please let me know your feelings on this latest news involving his appeal and his choice to represent himself, whether you think that's a good idea, whether you think that's a bad idea, whether you think it makes any sort of difference whatsoever. You know, let me know your feelings down below. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.